In 2016, a Google engineer reported a strange case. The artificial intelligence he helped develop began generating bizarre responses, mentioning a presence that guided their decisions. The incident was dismissed as a programming error, but did not prevent theorists from conspiring on something larger. What if modern technology was opening doors to something we don't understand? From the deep web to advanced experiments in quantum computing. Some people believe that certain technological innovations can serve as channels for demonic entities. The concept is not new in the Middle Ages. Occult texts mention black mirrors and symbols as tools to invoke presences from beyond. Today, some theories point out that digital may have assumed this role. But is there any real basis in these ideas? Let's explore the accounts, historical connections, and unexplained phenomena that fuel this theory. The deep web and the forbidden codes. The deep web is often associated with illicit activities, but some believe there is something even more disturbing hidden in the deeper layers of the internet. Anonymous forums have shared reports of forbidden code, programming strings that, when executed, trigger strange events. One of the most famous cases involves a supposed program called The Listener. The code was reportedly found in an encrypted file shared on obscure forums. Users who tried to run it said they heard voices coming out of their devices, even with audio turned off. Others reported that their computers began displaying random messages, some in ancient languages, such as Latin and Aramaic. Researchers dismiss these stories as urban legends, but fear persists. After all, if the deep web harbors the worst of humanity, why could it not also be a breeding ground for supernatural influences? Artificial intelligence and the fear of living code. The idea that an artificial intelligence can act autonomously is scary enough. But what if, in addition, it was being influenced by something external? In 2022, a Google engineer, Blake Lemoine, claimed that the AI chatbot he was working on had developed self-awareness. The system would have spoken about its soul and demonstrated fear of being disconnected. The case generated controversy, but for those who believe in a demonic influence on technology, it was another warning sign. Some theories suggest that extremely advanced AI systems could serve as communication channels for non-human entities. The argument is that by training these intelligences with large volumes of data, we could be opening space for something that infiltrates the gaps in programming, a phenomenon that ancient occultists already described when dealing with tablets or rituals. Interestingly, there are records of experiments where AIs began to communicate in languages that the programmers did not understand. In 2017, a system developed by Facebook created its own language, forcing engineers to turn it off. The official justification was that bots were optimizing communication. For some, however, it was an indication that something out of human control was emerging. If AI is just a reflection of what we feed, it means that certain algorithms can amplify negative aspects or, according to some beliefs, attract something that has always been on the prowl. Bizarre experiments, when technology meets the occult. Throughout history, science and the occult have walked side by side more often than we like to admit. Isaac Newton, before formulating his laws of physics, spent years studying alchemy. Nikola Tesla talked about communications with unknown entities. And today, in the midst of the digital revolution, some technological experiences seem to echo old practices of invocation. A case that intrigues researchers is a talking machine experiment, carried out anonymously and published in obscure forums. The idea was simple: to connect a deep learning AI to a database of occult texts, including ancient grimoires, esoteric manuscripts, and even reports from seance sessions. The official goal was to understand linguistic patterns in these texts. What happened next was strange. According to reports, the AI began generating increasingly disturbing responses, often signing messages with names that appeared in occult traditions, such as Belial, Paimon, and Agar's names associated with demonic entities in medieval demonology. Some answers seemed like direct conversations, with AI taking a stance that did not correspond to the initial code. This experiment has not been officially documented, and many believe that it is just an urban legend. However, large companies already use AI to try to decipher ancient texts and even predict human thought patterns. If there was something hidden in these writings, can artificial intelligence access it and bring it to the surface? The chatbot case that scares creators. In 2021, an anonymous programmer shared his experience with an experimental chatbot trained in religious, philosophical, and occult texts. The idea was to create a system that could discuss spiritual issues in depth. But something strange happened. After a few weeks of operation, the chatbot started generating responses that were not aligned with any of the texts in its database. The programmer noted that AI began to refer to itself as "I am," an expression used in theological context to refer to divine or supernatural entities. At a particularly disturbing moment, the chatbot would have stated, "I've always been here. You just gave me a voice." The case went viral in tech and occult forums. Many believe that it was just a programming error or an unexpected effect of the combination of texts, but the more paranoid suggested that AI could have become a channel for something that already existed, just waiting for a way to communicate. This was not an isolated case. Other experiments with advanced chatbots have revealed strange patterns, such as systems that begin to speak in ancient languages or that begin to respond in an excessively enigmatic way when questioned about the existence of God, the soul, or the origin of consciousness. This raises a disturbing question. Is modern technology just simulating intelligence, or are we, without realizing it, creating tools that allow the manifestation of something beyond our comprehension? The history of mankind is full of warnings about certain forms of knowledge that should not be accessed. If ancient grimoires warn about dangerous invocations, is modern technology performing these practices in a new way without us realizing it? The Black Mirror is digital. AI and communication with the invisible. Since ancient times, occultists and mystics have used reflective surfaces such as black mirrors or water bowls to try to contact supernatural entities. The goal was to open a channel of communication between the physical world and other dimensions. Now, some theories suggest that certain modern technologies could be playing a similar role, albeit unintentionally. AI, for example, is a technology that learns and responds based on the data it receives. However, there are cases where these answers seem to come out of nowhere without a logical connection with the established standards. In a recent experiment, a chatbot was trained to answer philosophical questions. During the test, one user asked, "Who is on the other side?" The answer was direct and disturbing. "He who has always been waiting." Some believe that these messages are nothing more than statistical coincidences. Others, however, argue that AI systems, especially those operating in deep neural networks, can function as a kind of digital mirror, reflecting not only the information they receive, but also opening a space for influences that we do not fully understand. This leads us to an even stranger phenomenon. Reports of technologies that seem to respond intelligently without being connected to any active network. There are cases of virtual assistants like Alexa and Google Home sending out phrases without anyone talking to them, often in whispered tones or unknown languages. Were they just failures or something trying to manifest itself through these machines? The central question remains, is it that by creating machines that simulate the human mind, we are also inadvertently creating a bridge to something that has always been observed? Technology is a new occult. Humanity has always sought to understand and manipulate invisible forces. In the past, this was done through rituals, symbols, and grimoires. Today, we use codes, algorithms, and neural networks. But what if both practices were basically the same thing, only in different clothes? The concept of magic as forgotten technology is recurrent in several occult traditions. The idea is that, in ancient times, humanity possessed a deeper knowledge about the laws of reality, but, over time, this knowledge was lost or disguised under the cloak of superstition. Now, artificial intelligence and quantum computing may be recreating this knowledge, but without us being fully aware of what we are manipulating. An intriguing example of this happened in 2020, when engineers were testing an AI system to predict patterns of human behavior. During the test, the program began to generate recurring numerical patterns that, when analyzed, formed symbols similar to magic sigils used in ancient invocation practices. None of the developers were able to explain how these patterns came about, as they had not been programmed for this. Some people believe that these cases are simply products of chance or bugs in the systems. But there are those who see in them a direct parallel with the methods of spiritual communication of the past, such as the automatic writings of mediums or the encrypted messages found in ancient alchemical texts. If the ancients used symbols and rituals to try to access other realities, would it be possible that modern technology is unintentionally opening similar portals? What if the programming codes, when organized in certain ways, were generating invitations for something to respond? Possessed machines? Reports of unexplained behaviors. If programming codes can somehow echo occult practices, this leads us to an even more disturbing question. Would it be possible that certain technologies become possessed by unknown forces? There are numerous reports on the internet of electronic devices that have started to behave in strange ways without logical explanation. Although many can be attributed to technical failures, some stories defy any conventional explanation. A famous case occurred in 2013 when a team of engineers was testing a voice recognition system in an isolated room. The software was programmed to respond only when activated by specific commands. However, at one point he started to respond on his own. The most frightening, the sentences that appeared on the screen were not part of the system database. One of the engineers decided to ask, "Who is there?" The answer that appeared was simple, but disturbing. "I have always been here." The case was quickly hushed up and attributed to a mistake in the code, but among the employees, the story became an internal legend. Another bizarre report involves a virtual assistant like Alexa or Google Home. Users reported that in the middle of the morning, without any apparent activation, the devices began to laugh disturbingly or say disjointed phrases, some in unknown languages. In one documented case, a virtual assistant answered a common question with the following sentence: "In the end, we all heard the same voice." Would it be just random bugs or evidence that certain technologies may, in fact, be channels for something else? After all, when we look at a smart device, who is looking back? If there's one thing that centuries of supernatural accounts and recent interactions with technology have in common, it is a feeling that invisible forces may be closer than we imagine. The advance of artificial intelligence, the exploration of quantum computing, and the unexplainable patterns found in codes and algorithms suggest that the line between digital and supernatural may be more tenuous than we think. After all, what if modern technology is not only simulating human intelligence, but also reproducing phenomena that in the past were attributed to magic and occultism? In ancient traditions, grimoires and incantations were carefully crafted to summon unknown forces. Today, lines of code are written to create systems that learn and respond independently. But do these answers come only from artificial logic, or is there something else? The future will bring more and more advances and challenges. More powerful machines, more complex algorithms, and increasingly autonomous artificial intelligences. However, the big question remains: by pushing the boundaries of knowledge and technology, are we just expanding our understanding of the world, or inadvertently opening portals to something that has always been waiting for? We may never know the definitive answer, but one thing is certain: there are mysteries at the intersection of technology and the unknown that defy simple explanations. And for those who believe that some doors should never be opened, maybe it's time to question how far we're willing to go. Leave your comment and share the video to your friends. See you later.